It's always 3:00 a.m., that strange quiet hour when the world is completely still and your thoughts are anything but. The streets outside are empty, the lights in the neighborhood are dark, and even the wind seems to have fallen asleep. But you're wide awake. Again. You didn't set an alarm. You didn't ask to wake up. But your body somehow, it always knows, almost like it's keeping a secret or trying to tell you one. Harold Bennett has lived alone in this quiet house in Asheville, North Carolina for 6 years now, since his wife passed. And for some reason, every night, or rather every early morning, his eyes open at exactly 3:07. Not 3:05, not 3:15, always the same. He sits in the kitchen with a small cup of tea, the same brand she used to drink, and stares out the window. Nothing moves out there, not even the trees, but inside something stirs. A thought, a memory, a question he never meant to ask. At this hour, nothing distracts you. No phones buzzing, no news anchor shouting, just the sound of the clock ticking and the quiet hum of your own heart, asking things you didn't realize you'd been avoiding. So maybe, just maybe, waking up at 3:00 a.m. isn't a mistake. Maybe it's not insomnia, not aging, not stress. What if it's something else? What if it's a message from your body, from your mind, maybe even from something deeper, something quieter, something sacred? What if you've been waking up not to be disturbed, but to finally be heard? There's a reason it keeps happening. It's not random, it's not weakness, and it's certainly not just getting old, the way people sometimes say with a sigh and a shrug. It's biology, your biology, quietly shifting with time. You see, as we age, something changes inside us, slowly, gently, but surely. One of the first things to fade is melatonin, the hormone your brain produces each evening to tell your body it's time to rest. In your younger years, melatonin rises after sunset like a wave, helping you fall into deep, steady sleep. But after 60, 70, that wave becomes smaller, quieter, sometimes barely enough to carry you through the night. That's why your sleep feels lighter now. Why the smallest creak in the floorboards or a breeze slipping through the window can pull you back into wakefulness. Your body is no longer anchored in the same deep rhythms it once knew. The anchors are looser now, and there's something else, cortisol. You may have heard it called the stress hormone, but it's also the hormone that gently wakes you in the morning. It rises gradually, like sunlight creeping through the blinds, telling your body it's time to start the day. But here's the twist. As we age, cortisol doesn't wait until morning anymore. It starts rising earlier, sometimes hours before dawn. So when your eyes open at 3:00 a.m., it might not be worry, or nightmares, or the neighbor's dog barking again. It might simply be your body tapping you on the shoulder and whispering, "It's morning." Only it's not. The sky is still dark, the house still silent, and so you lie there, half awake, half confused, wondering what went wrong. But nothing went wrong. Your body's rhythm just shifted. It's trying to adjust, trying to help you, but the world outside hasn't shifted with it. Your bedtime stayed the same. The clocks on your wall still say 6 a.m. is morning. So your biology and your lifestyle, they're out of sync now. This isn't your fault, and it's not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it's one of the most natural changes a body can go through, a kind of unspoken evolution that no one warns you about. And yet knowing this, even just this, can soften the frustration. Because now, when you wake up at that strange still hour, you won't have to wonder if something's wrong. You'll know. It's just your body doing what it was built to do, but on a slightly different schedule. And understanding that is the first step toward peace. But biology isn't the whole story, because sometimes, even when your body finally quiets, your mind doesn't. You lie there, still under the covers. No pain, no sound, no real reason to be awake, and yet you are, wide-eyed in the dark, and that's when it begins. The thoughts, the ones you pushed aside during the day, the ones you didn't have time for between errands, appointments, calls, the ones you told yourself could wait. But at 3:00 a.m., they no longer wait. They whisper, then speak, then shout. You think about the things you didn't say, the phone calls you didn't return, the people you missed but haven't mentioned in years. You remember details so small, the way she folded towels, the exact sound of her laugh, that you wonder how your mind even kept them all this time. And the silence around you, it doesn't comfort, it presses in, heavier than noise. This is what psychologists call nighttime rumination, when your mind, left without distractions, begins turning inward, sometimes gently, sometimes brutally. At this hour, your guard is down, your heart is soft, and emotions that had no space during the day come rushing in like a tide. Regret, grief, loneliness. Maybe you think of someone you lost, not just in the way we think of memory, but in the way we feel absence. You reach across to the other side of the bed, and it's still empty, still cold. Or maybe it's not someone. Maybe it's you, a version of yourself you left behind, that younger you who moved faster, felt braver, laughed louder, and you wonder, where did they go? Harold knows this hour well, not just for its stillness, but for what it reveals. It's not just a time when the body wakes, it's when the soul speaks. He once tried to ignore it, pushed the thoughts away, turned on the TV, scrolled through headlines, but the quiet always found its way back, because it wasn't trying to hurt him, it was trying to reach him. And when he finally listened, really listened, he discovered something unexpected. It wasn't just pain that woke him, it was love. Love that had nowhere else to go. Love that lingered, even after the person was gone, even after the years had passed. So now, when Harold wakes at 3:07, he doesn't fight it. He breathes, he sits, and sometimes he simply whispers her name, not to bring her back, but to remember she was here. And in doing that, he feels less alone. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're there right now, awake, with nothing but the weight of your own heart pressing against your chest. And if that's true, know this, you're not broken. You're not strange. You're simply human. And your heart, like your body, sometimes just needs a quiet place to speak. At first, Harold did what most people do. He got frustrated. He changed pillows, switched blankets, turned the thermostat up, then down. He stopped drinking coffee after lunch, stopped watching the news before bed, even tried those sleep gummies his daughter sent from Colorado, but nothing worked. 3:07 came anyway, and each time it did, Harold felt a little more tired, a little more helpless, a little more alone, until one night, instead of fighting the hour, he tried something different. He stayed. He didn't turn on the lights, didn't reach for distractions. He just sat, breathed, listened, and then he picked up a pen. There was an old notebook in the drawer, the kind his wife used to write grocery lists in. He opened it to a blank page. No plan, no structure, just one thought, one sentence. I miss you. It wasn't poetic, it wasn't profound, but it was honest. The next night he wrote again, just a few lines, a memory, a question, a moment, and slowly that hour began to feel different, less like a problem, more like a place, a quiet place, a private place, a sacred place. He added small rituals, not rules, not chores, just gestures of care. He brewed a cup of chamomile tea, not for sleep, but for comfort. He lit a small candle by the window, not to see better, but to remember the warmth of shared light. He played soft jazz from the record player, the kind she used to hum along to while folding laundry, and suddenly the 3 a.m. hour wasn't something to dread. It became a space to return to, a kind of inner porch where he could sit and watch the night pass gently by. What Harold discovered, and what many never realize, is that sleep is not just a biological need, it's a relationship. And like all relationships, it changes with time. It needs tending, patience, respect. So instead of forcing sleep, he began preparing for it, the way you might prepare a garden, or a guest room, or an old memory. Dim the lights earlier, turn off the screens. Let the mind quiet down before the body follows. Consistency became his quiet ally, going to bed at the same time, waking around the same time. Even when he didn't feel like it, even on weekends, he stopped chasing perfect sleep and started welcoming better rest. And in doing so, something in him softened. Not everything was fixed, not every night was easy, but he no longer felt powerless. He had a ritual now, a rhythm, a way of meeting the darkness not with fear, but with presence. And maybe that's where healing begins. So what about you? What do you do when 3:00 a.m. finds you? When your eyes snap open and the room feels too quiet, too cold, too heavy to fall back asleep? Maybe like Harold once did, you've tried everything. New mattress, white noise, melatonin. Maybe you've even given up, telling yourself it's just part of aging. But what if it's not about fixing the hour, but reframing it? There are small things, Quiet things that can shift everything. Start with light. Your body's internal clock, the one that tells you when to feel sleepy and when to feel awake, is powered by light. But as we age, that clock gets confused, dimmed, disoriented. That's why it helps to get outside in the late afternoon, even just for a short walk or a cup of tea on the porch. Let your skin feel the sun. Even as it fades, that golden light whispers to your brain, "Not yet. Stay awake a little longer." And in turn, it helps you fall asleep later and stay asleep longer. Then consider how your evening flows. Screens, phone, tablet, television, all of them tell your brain it's daytime. Their blue glow steals your melatonin before it even gets the chance to rise. So try this. Turn them off an hour before bed. Replace them with something slower, a warm bath, a real book, a quiet corner with soft music. Make the last hour of your day feel like an invitation to rest, not a last sprint of stimulation. And your environment matters too. The bedroom isn't just a room. It's a signal, a message to your brain. Here you can let go. Keep it cool. Between 60 and 67 degrees. Not cold, but cool enough for your body to drift down into sleep. Darken the space. No blinking lights, no hallway glow. Let your brain believe deeply that night has truly arrived. And if you wake up anyway, as Harold still sometimes does, don't panic. Don't check your phone. Don't reach for the clock. Instead, breathe. Place one hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. Let your breath slow it down. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3. Hold. And exhale slowly. Again, until your body remembers it is safe now. And if your thoughts won't leave you alone, let them speak. Keep a small notebook by your bed. When the words in your head feel loud, give them a place to land. Write them down, not to solve them, but to release them. The act of writing does something powerful. It turns chaos into shape, fear into sentences, and suddenly, the thoughts lose their grip. These may sound like small things, but in the quiet hours, small things are often the most powerful. You don't need to become a different person. You don't need to chase sleep like a prize. You just need to shift the way you meet the night, not as a battle, but as a conversation. And over time, the conversation softens. You sleep more. You wake with less resistance. And even when 3 a.m. comes, it no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes something else entirely. Harold once called it his curse hour, that time when sleep left and silence pressed in, when the ache of memory was louder than any noise, when he felt most alone. But now, he calls it something else, his sacred hour. Not because it's easy, not because he always finds answers, but because it's his. A space no one else touches. A time when nothing is expected, nothing demanded, and nothing rushed, just presence. Some mornings, he still wakes at 3:07. That hasn't changed. But he no longer sees it as a failure. He sees it as a visit, a gentle tapping on the shoulder, a reminder, you're still here, still breathing, still capable of remembering and feeling and beginning again. He doesn't always write. Some nights he just sits, or listens to the wind move through the trees, or thinks about the way her laughter used to fill the kitchen when he burned the toast. And in those moments, the weight he carries doesn't disappear, but it softens. It becomes lighter, almost sacred. Maybe you've been waking up too. Maybe your 3 a.m. feels heavy, or restless, or uncertain. But what if, just like Harold, you could shift how you see it? What if the hour you've been fearing is actually the hour that's calling you back to yourself? Not to fix, not to figure it all out, but just to be, to sit, to breathe, to remember, to feel. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are simply being invited inward. So the next time your eyes open in the dark, before you reach for distraction, pause, light a candle, take a breath, write one sentence. Let the night know I'm still here. And maybe, just maybe, that hour, that quiet, mysterious hour, will become your own sacred hour too.